Everyone, and welcome to this deep dive into one of the most intriguing conspiracy theories out there. The idea that the United States government is secretly buying Bitcoin with gold. Yet, this topic has been gaining more and more traction, with some people firmly believing that there's a hidden connection linking the federal vaults of gold and the digital realm of cryptocurrency. Over the next several minutes, I want us to examine this controversial claim, discuss the underlying reasons why it might be true or not, and explore the larger implications for the economy, the crypto market, and our understanding of how governments operate. Buckle in, because this is going to be a fascinating ride. Let's begin by considering the allure of this rumor. Why would the government, especially the United States government, secretly buy Bitcoin using gold reserves? One reason that keeps coming up is the idea of diversification. For decades, gold has been seen as a safe haven asset. Historically, during times of economic uncertainty or inflation, investors would turn to gold to protect their wealth. Its value has, for the most part, stayed relatively stable across centuries. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is sometimes called digital gold, and it represents the cutting edge of what people consider a store of value in the modern age. If you think about it, governments, including that of the United States, have every motivation to keep a close eye on emerging technologies that could potentially reshape the global monetary system. This leads us to the rumor itself. There's talk that the government may be quietly dipping into its gold hoard, a hoard that is considered one of the largest in the world to purchase Bitcoin. But why would there be secrecy surrounding such transactions? Some supporters of this theory believe that if it became public knowledge the United States government was stockpiling Bitcoin, it would cause massive waves in the market. This could lead to a sudden surge in Bitcoin's price because everyone might interpret government buying as a massive sign of legitimacy and acceptance. Alternatively, it could also spook some investors who fear government intervention, creating panic selling. Either way, news like that would not just impact the crypto world, but the entire financial market. When we talk about the United States government, we often talk about transparency and accountability, but in practice, certain areas of government business remain classified for reasons of national security or economic strategy. If the government is making big moves in cryptocurrency, they might want to keep it under wraps for a variety of reasons. Maybe they want to test how the market reacts to certain pressures without revealing their own influence. Maybe they're worried that acknowledging any involvement in crypto would create too much speculation, or perhaps they consider these moves a matter of national security, given that Bitcoin might play a role in future financial systems. Whether these are valid reasons or not, the secrecy element certainly adds fuel to the conspiracy fire. Let's explore the possibility that the government is buying Bitcoin with gold as a preemptive move against potential future economic instability. Imagine a scenario where global fiat currencies face intense inflationary pressure. If the government has significant crypto holdings, it might help maintain some form of stability, at least from the perspective of owning a diversified set of assets. This is speculative, of course, but so are most conspiracy theories. Now, I want to delve into the historical context that fuels these kinds of theories. The US dollar was once backed by gold under the Bretton Woods system. After World War II, many countries pegged their currencies to the dollar, which in turn was linked to gold. Eventually, this system was dismantled in 1971 when President Nixon closed the gold window, effectively stopping the direct convertibility of the US dollar to gold. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's emergence in 2009 brought forth a digital currency not controlled by any central authority. Originally viewed as a curiosity by mainstream financial institutions, it slowly gained acceptance. By now, we see major players like corporations, hedge funds, and institutional investors putting money into Bitcoin because it offers something unique, a decentralized network, finite supply, and a loyal global community. For a government with enough foresight or fear of missing out, it could make sense to accumulate a position in Bitcoin, especially if they believe it could become a dominant store of value in the future. The question is, how might a government do it quietly? Some believe the government could funnel money into shell companies or proxy accounts that purchase Bitcoin on various exchanges. Others think they might acquire large amounts of Bitcoin over the counter to avoid creating suspicious price spikes. The gold angle adds another layer of complexity. In theory, the government could trade gold directly with certain entities that accept or want gold in exchange for Bitcoin. This method might shield the transactions from the public eye, because unlike a standard bank wire, a gold for Bitcoin swap might be made to look like a transfer of gold reserves or a standard operation related to the Treasury's activities. The result is a swirl of speculation. Is the government quietly propping up the Bitcoin market, possibly to study how it behaves, or even to manipulate its price? Could they be preparing for a future in which cryptocurrency plays a bigger role, maybe even backing their digital currency with some form of Bitcoin? We can't say for sure. The lack of concrete evidence makes these theories compelling, but ultimately unproven. Let's shift gears for a moment and consider how these rumors might affect trust in the market. If people believe that the government holds large sums of Bitcoin, some might interpret that as extremely bullish. After all, if the largest economy in the world has faith in Bitcoin, then more investors might pile in, pushing the price higher. On the flip side, if it were revealed that the government was using covert operations or unaccounted gold to buy Bitcoin, that revelation could erode public trust in both the government and the cryptocurrency markets. Transparency is crucial for a healthy economic system, and secrecy on such a large scale might spark outrage, skepticism, or wild swings in market sentiment. Because government actions can wield immense influence, rumors of official Bitcoin buying can also spark fierce debates about regulation. What would it mean for the Securities and Exchange Commission or the Commodity Futures Trading Commission to discover that the government itself was dabbling in crypto, possibly outside the established regulatory framework? But let's not forget the global implications. If the US government is secretly acquiring Bitcoin, it's likely not the only one. Other major economies, think of countries like China or Russia, might also be building up their reserves of digital currency. With the rise of central bank digital currencies in many nations, it's no stretch to think that some governments might also hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. After all, the competition for technological and economic dominance can be fierce. Critics of this conspiracy theory point out that there is no direct, incontrovertible evidence. While Bitcoin's public ledger, the blockchain, shows all transactions, it doesn't reveal who is behind each address. That means it's challenging to prove government ownership of specific wallets unless they announce it themselves. People citing gold flows also find no straightforward proof that gold bars are being swapped for digital coins. Moreover, if a government agency truly wanted to accumulate Bitcoin covertly, it would be extremely careful in covering its tracks. The government has sophisticated intelligence agencies capable of obscuring financial trails through a labyrinth of shell corporations, overseas accounts, or collaborations with private contractors. This might leave us with only scattered rumors, circumstantial evidence, or suspicious patterns that never amount to a smoking gun. Still, the speculation doesn't come from nowhere. In recent years, certain government agencies, including some tied to law enforcement or technology, have indeed ended up in possession of Bitcoin. For instance, through the seizure of assets in criminal operations or raids on illegal marketplaces. While seizing Bitcoin from criminals is different from actively purchasing it, each event showcases an expanding familiarity with cryptocurrency within the government sector. The government has auctioned off seized Bitcoin on multiple occasions, yet it's entirely possible that some portion is held back for investigative or strategic reasons. That alone can start rumors. If they're holding on to some of it, maybe they're buying more. Let's talk about another big question. What happens if these rumors turn out to be true? Imagine a scenario where tomorrow morning, a whistleblower delivers hard evidence that the US government is buying Bitcoin using gold. The immediate impact on cryptocurrency markets would likely be seismic. Bitcoin's price might skyrocket as people scramble to buy alongside the government. We might see a global frenzy akin to the gold rush of the 19th century, except this time, it's a digital gold rush. Major news outlets would plaster headlines about the government's newly revealed strategy. Economists and politicians would likely argue about the wisdom of such a move. Markets for alternative cryptocurrencies, Ether, Litecoin, or others, could also climb as the sector as a whole experiences renewed attention. Scene 2. Unspoken admission. Time code 001316 13 to 45. Another interesting angle is that if the government really believed in Bitcoin enough to exchange gold for it, that might be an unspoken admission that cryptocurrency is here to stay and possibly more valuable in the long run than gold. That would be a monumental shift in how we perceive monetary policy. Gold has thousands of years of history as a store of value, just over a decade. It would underscore a changing worldview, where digital scarcity begins to rival or even supersede physical scarcity. Yet the secrecy issue remains. If this were a real investment, why not make it public? Governments often announce large purchases of gold or sales of commodities to either reassure the market or telegraph certain messages. Let's remember the fundamental principle that drives conspiracies: a lack of trust in official narratives. Many people believe the government might not be acting in the public's best interests, or that it's engaged in hidden strategies the common person has no clue about. Combine that skepticism with Bitcoin's mysterious aura and the dramatic volatility of crypto markets, and you have a perfect recipe for conspiracy. This is also where regulation comes in. Many are calling for clearer rules around cryptocurrency, especially from government agencies like the CC. Yet, if regulators were also participants in the market, how objective could they be? This question drives deeper into ethical territory. Can a government that stands to profit from Bitcoin still fairly regulate it? Despite all this uncertainty, the discussion itself is valuable. Talking about these possibilities encourages public scrutiny of government actions. It forces us to ask whether we're comfortable with the level of secrecy in financial operations. It also challenges us to stay informed about how money is evolving. Cryptocurrency, love it or hate it, is transforming our notion of what currency can be. Bitcoin's design, with a fixed supply and decentralized control, stands in stark contrast to a fiat system in which central banks can print more money. If governments do start buying Bitcoin secretly or openly, it might mark a radical shift in the way national financial reserves are managed. The bigger takeaway is that the government's actions in the cryptocurrency market, whether direct or indirect, can have enormous consequences. If the government were to openly invest in Bitcoin, it could propel the cryptocurrency into a new era of legitimacy, possibly accelerating adoption across various industries. But if that involvement remains hidden, or if it's discovered through leaks, it could also sow doubt, panic, and instability. For regular people like you and me, it's useful to remain critical thinkers. Conspiracy theories can be entertaining, but they also highlight real concerns about transparency and fairness. Whether the government is buying Bitcoin or not, we should be asking how governments interact with emerging financial tech, how regulations are shaping up, and what the long-term implications could be for global finance. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you have any thoughts on this topic, please leave a comment below so we can keep the conversation going. Be sure to check out my other videos for more insights and discussions about the ever-evolving world of cryptocurrency. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember that the story of money is continually being rewritten, and we're all part of that story. The government's possible gold to Bitcoin strategy could reshape our financial future or spark a massive controversy. Either way, it challenges our perceptions of money and power in the digital age. Leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going.